Good afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, IMAC Med Spa, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki,
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of seniors, we have our first guest this morning.
I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet.
I'm very close, but not there yet.
But no, we have the executive director of the Santa Cruz Valley Senior Center here, Mr. Kevin MacDonald.
Great to be with you.
Yes, good to see you again.
Yeah, the gray hair gives away to maybe he's a senior, maybe he's not. That's okay.
That's all right. You work there.
There you go.
And it's a wonderful place. Absolutely wonderful. Especially in the new
Bella Vita
building. Oh, that is beautiful up there. If you seniors haven't been there, you need to get there because you won't want to leave. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can see for miles.
Yes, you can.
When you're up there.
Beautiful location.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. That was the best thing the county and state ever did.
That's right.
Ever did. And the city. Because the city was involved
state,
too.
And county, everyone was involved.
Yes,
and
everyone was involved. Yes.
And
community individuals.
Yes.
Oh,
supporters.
yes,
You know, it's funny
community.
how it's a great story of how that was put together because we had to raise $11 million. And we had a part of it donated by the great city of Santa Cruz. Also, another part donated by the County of Los Angeles and Catherine Barger and through her team. A little bit from the state of California. But then we had 1,000 individuals who donated something to make this all happen. And that package together is really, you know, I love to share those stories of people in other states saying, do you know what this city did and this county did to make a senior center happen and in a very quick time? You know, because we started, you know, the fundraising in 2016.
I know.
And we broke ground in 2018, and we opened in April of 2019. Even
Bad timing.
Yeah. Well, we were open for a year, almost a year, and rocking and rolling with that. And really, even during COVID, we could not have done and produced the services we did because we turned our ballroom into a food manufacturing place.
Nice.
And our food service tripled. The people, because we had to deliver home-delivered meals to everybody. Because everyone was trapped in their homes for 2 years. What better resource than to take our ballroom, convert it into a packaging center for food? Our cooks came in every day. The staff came in every day. We were fully employed with everybody. Just saying, we just diverted all of our attention to serving the community, and no one went without a meal if they got a hold of us.
That's right.
So really,
That's right.
Outstanding.
And then we took our parking lot, as you know, and it's the world's famous drive-through that lasts today. We can pick up your meals for a drive-through, and we used to roll out the table that was 6 feet long, had our masks on, and put it at the end of the table so you could pick it up at your window and keep going.
Perfect distancing.
So that's what's happened, you know, the blessings that you have. A big ballroom that was supposed to be used for one purpose, you repurposed it for packaging food. A parking lot was supposed to be kind of stationary, turns into a drive-through that no one ever heard of in any senior center before.
And a movie.
And a movie.
And the movie nights. And the comedians
yes.
came out into the parking lot.
Oh,
and they made the joke that, you know, the comedians sitting on the stage in the parking lot, there's 200 cars in front of them. They're like, I feel like I'm making jokes on the 405 freeway because that's all they see. And then we gave them bells. So if you liked the comedian, you'd ring this cowbell outside your window because you had to have your mask on, of course.
Right.
And all the county regulations that did that. And then the funnest part was bringing the concerts in because the concert guys would come out and play the great music in the parking lot. But the cars had to be 6 feet away from each other.
Right.
And that was part of the regulation. And the stage had to be triple long because they had to keep 6 feet away from each other. For the performers.
Oh, it was a sight to see.
But boy, did they bring joy to so many people.
Oh,
we didn't stop.
Kidding.
And you're still doing the concerts, right?
Still doing the concerts. We have them outside in the courtyard, and we just had Linda Ronstadt's tribute band just came, and they knocked it out of the park. We had almost 300 people come. We charge $5 a piece because we want people to come and enjoy the courtyard.
Right.
And we did that, and they played for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's certainly less than a 2-drink minimum anywhere.
That's right. So, and then we have acts booked up and through December right now. So we're looking forward. And it's for the family to come together. It's not just for seniors. And they were just dancing to all the Linda Ronstadt songs, which I had forgotten. But we're all singing to them. And then Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, the tribute band's coming next.
That should be amazing.
rocking.
Yeah.
Doobie Brothers are coming in August. Elton John is scheduled. ABBA's coming. So it's just once a month to get that family together, and they bring their own snacks and they're eating in the courtyard, and they're really polite, and then they get up and dance. So, and they're doing these line dances, and the bands are saying basically you're line dancing, and no one's ever line danced to our songs.
Right.
But that's the crowd we have, and that's the
Line dancing to the Ramones.
that's the fun that we have. So, and that's City of Santa Cruz helps sponsor that, so it's really really nice.
Yeah. And my hubby is up in heaven looking down saying, yes, go for it.
That's it.
Because he was one of the originators of
You're right.
Of that senior center. My goodness, a long time ago. I can remember meeting over where the old one used to be with Joanne Darcy and the city of L.A., the county of L.A., and trying to get the senior center started.
Right.
And it did. It did.
And
It was wonderful.
Barbara, and it brings back some good memories because tonight we install our new board of directors. Kind of the end of our year is June 30th, so we're wrapping up the year. We install a brand new board of directors with 4 new members. Come on tonight. Julie Sturgeon has served us for 2 years as president. She did a great job. And now Bonnie Tiefert is her name. She's our new president. Volunteers, and they're wonderful volunteers. And there's 15 members, and they're here to serve. How can we support the senior center?
Absolutely.
So we install our new board tonight. We say thank you tonight, and we celebrate one heck of a year because it was really the first full year post-COVID.
Well, that's true. That's
First
true.
full year post-COVID from July 1 to now, because we opened up before July of last year, and then we just welcomed the people back, and it's been quite the year, and that's why tonight we're going to celebrate.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and so the official line on COVID has just recently been lifted.
Right.
So are there still restrictions at the senior center, or is it all gone?
No, there's no restrictions at the senior center. We
Okay,
used to
good.
require the vaccine card proof, but that was months ago.
Right.
So we released that. Masks are optional. Some people just still wear masks if they want to, but no, everything was released quite a while ago.
Right.
But we still want to offer those packages, like the concerts are always, outdoors as much as we can.
Sure.
All our classes are zoomed into your home, because if you want to stay at home, we can zoom every one of our classes right into your home, which is the beauty, one of the silver linings of the COVID was bringing that into the homes. And then the Meals on Wheels is back on track with 520 people getting deliveries every day. And there's more talking going on.
Right.
And you're welcomed at their doorstep more than during COVID. We had to knock on their door, drop the food,
Right.
back away. And so it's slowly bringing people back together. And then people were hesitant coming back together.
Yeah.
And now our ballroom almost had 300 people in the other day for lunch.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's
So when 300
fantastic.
people are gathering for lunch, you're like, okay, this is back to really when our opening day, which is kind of fun. But 300 people are having lunch in the ballroom. In the parking lot, there's 800 meals given out to drive-through cars.
Yeah.
So that's, it just continues to expand.
And the need, that's what I was going to say. The need just keeps growing. Mm-hmm. These past 2 years, besides the isolation, which is a big issue, and thank goodness for the work that you're doing where you have a place, if you're a senior, to go, because that may be the only social interaction that these people get.
Yeah, and you're right. And I'll give you the example because I was hanging out in the billiards room. We have 2 pool tables in a billiards room. And people come there, and the guys and the gals together, and that's how they spend part of their day. And it's like, there's a reason. They have lunch, but they hang out together. And it's like a family has bonded like you would never.
Yeah.
And in your retirement, you're looking for that friend or two.
Yes, you
And
absolutely
what a better place
are.
but a welcoming billiards room, or, the weight room serves the same way. So when they go to the physical fitness center, they're doing the same thing, and they meet 2 or 3 people, and all of a sudden life becomes a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you can go home and talk to somebody at the dinner table about, oh, this is a friend I met.
Aww.
And those little things, they're just...
They mean so much.
They do.
They really do.
I sat with a guy, I usually try to go into the ballroom when I can. I had lunch with a guy who's from El Salvador. And he was sitting alone, so I grabbed on the table, chit-chatted with him. He picks up the meal and takes it home to his wife because she can't make it there. And he serves a meal to her at home. And he gave me his whole history, and I didn't know what he did for a living, but he worked for all the different airlines, from Mexican Airlines, ended up with Southwest Airlines. He was customer service. He was bilingual. And just hearing his story, it's like, wow, it's
bet he had
meaningful.
the
These are
luck.
very successful people
Yeah.
that just happen to be joining us for lunch in our banquet hall. And we got to keep asking them what their stories are.
Right.
Because when I get to that point in my life, I want someone to ask me, well, what's your story? Or what's your story, right?
Right.
Because that's what we live for. And those that's the friendships that happen.
Yeah.
And that's the joy we try to bring in there. And then yesterday I sat with a couple and I asked them where they're from. Felix was the gentleman's name. He was from the Congo in Africa.
Oh,
and I was
my
like,
goodness.
okay. And, so we went into some of those stories, and he's going back in a couple weeks, but he's going to come back to the Santa Clarita Senior Center after they get back from the Congo. He's got 2 daughters over there and 2 daughters in Santa Clarita. It's like, what a nice family of just sharing a little bit of joy with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting people.
Yes.
Really.
All walks of life.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that's what makes life interesting, because everyone has something different to offer.
Right.
And if you just open yourself up and talk, you learn so much that can affect you and that you can affect others, and it's all for the good. It really is.
Yeah. It's all for the good. You're right.
Conversation. Conversation. That's
It's
what,
a lost art.
well,
And
that's
the day
true.
of social media where, everybody's sitting in front of a computer screen and just arguing with each other
Right.
about stuff that doesn't matter.
That's right.
Right. But, in our ballroom, we don't have a lot of cell phones out.
Nice.
Because they want to talk. And actually, I got 2 piano players. They come in twice a week. And I said, wouldn't it be a great idea to bring entertainment in 5 days a week, right? You would think, Kevin, you need to do that. No, they want to talk.
Oh.
Please, no entertainment.
Oh.
They just want to chat with each other. They want anything blocking their hearing and everything else.
So you have them put their cell phones?
No, we don't. But I'm just saying, when you look out over the crowd, no one's on their cell phone. They're talking
Right.
to each other. They're talking to each
And
other.
that's the way it
And the
should
piano
be.
player, we gave him no microphone, so he couldn't be too loud, because they just want to talk. That's
Yeah,
it. And that's
nice.
about life. And I think it's up to us to also engage them the same way. Our responsibility
Oh, yes.
as
Absolutely.
colleagues and friends of them is just keep engaging, because they want to engage. They'll talk to anybody about anything, and it's so important for them in this era of, they're pretty much isolated for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And they're still coming out of it. And some people are slower coming out of it than others.
Well, it's nice also because you have a lot of employees there
Mm-hmm.
who can also go into that ballroom and mingle.
Yes. And the
Which-
the servers are wonderful too. I mean,
Yes,
you're getting a
yes.
plated meal with a server, with your glass goblets and your Arnold Palmer, or whatever you want to have that's legal, and having a great meal doing that. Tomorrow they got Mama's pot roast coming in, and we got salmon on Monday and chicken teriyaki on Friday. So our chef is really knocking it out of the park with some really fantastic meals
That's
for those
terrific.
seniors.
Okay, so I know it's probably not that much of a demand at the senior center, but what about special diets, special diet requirements like vegetarian or gluten-free or that
That's a
kind
good
of
point.
stuff?
We're working on those issues because
Yeah.
we're producing a lot of meals. We do offer 1 vegetarian plate each week, and then we're working on offering a separate vegetarian on other days as well. And that's definitely a need out there.
Yeah, it's a small need, but it's nice to know that there is an option, and more people, including myself, are requiring like gluten-free.
Right.
Now, I got the double whammy. I'm vegetarian and I'm gluten-free. So it's like, what do you start eating?
Right. What do you
You're going to eat ice cubes
Right.
for dinner.
Right. Sure. Well, I'll have to talk to my chef on that one. But
Whoa.
our first goal was to meet all the county regulations, because the Center for Nutrition Services oversees everything. Every single meal we come out, they want to know what's in it,
Sure.
and how much of this, that, and the other thing. So our nutrition specialists are all over it, and they're inspecting us every week. It seems like they're coming in and checking out all the food and making sure everything's perfect, following the menu that they give us, a prescribed menu of what has to be. So it's really,
Well,
nutrition is
that's-
number one. Now we have to continue to make alterations for vegetarian
Yeah.
and gluten-free as we go along here.
Yeah.
So we
It's
need
going
to
to be
respond to
a
that
growing
request.
concern. Maybe not so much the vegetarian, but I guarantee there is going to be an increase in a constantly increasing number of gluten-free. It's a big
And
problem.
what causes that? Does anyone know?
Yeah,
really?
well, exactly no, but the broad strokes is that a lot of people develop sensitivity and a high degree of inflammation whenever they have anything that is wheat-based. and it's a growing problem. Why, we don't exactly know, but we do see the numbers, and it is a substantial problem. But most people don't even know. They just know that they have indigestion, they don't feel right, they have body aches, they get headaches, they get brain fog, they get all these symptoms, and 9 times out of 10 they just deal with those symptoms with some form of medication, not even tracking it back to their digestive issue, until they find someone like me. And we narrow it down and get rid of the wheat, and all of a sudden they don't have the problem or need the meds anymore, which is a beautiful thing.
Oh,
Boy,
absolutely.
education goes a long way.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's important, especially for seniors who, maybe rely on convenience and comfort food more than the average, or I don't know, maybe that was just ageist. I know a lot of people who can't be bothered, who are, get home from work and they just don't have the time to deal with it. So, they do the most easiest answer. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be wheat-based or have wheat in it.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I have to tell you, I've been getting some of the senior meals.
Yes.
And they are delicious. They really are. And
you also need to know that they're, regulated by the county for the nutrition value.
That.
And that's an important thing to know.
Oh, it is.
Because you had the shrimp scampi yesterday, which was, those are the biggest shrimp I've seen in a very long time. So I don't know where they bought them from, but they did a nice job with the shrimp scampi yesterday, and then the salmon next week. So you're hearing some really nutritious food coming out of here.
Yeah.
Except for Father's Day, we did a giant cheeseburger, so we got away with it one day. So that's okay. Once in a while, we're going to sneak in a cheeseburger because everybody needs them.
Oh, yes. Well, there's nothing better than a cheeseburger.
Right.
But you can't eat it all the time.
That's right.
It's not good for you.
That's
Once
right.
in a while, it's an absolute treat. Oh, my goodness.
That's right.
Yes, I love to have a cheeseburger every once in a while. Not very often, but and it's so yummy.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go back to what's happening tonight. We're celebrating some people tonight, including Rick Patterson from town, and he was on our board of directors since 2001. So we're celebrating Rick Patterson tonight.
Congratulations, Rick.
To him. And Mary Jane Hartman, who's been on our board since 1997. She's coming off the board, so we're celebrating her tonight. So Mary Jane Hartman's just been a fixture in town, yes. And then also Suzanne Nelson, 35 years as an employee of the Senior Center, and she's the best of the best. And we love her over there, so we'll celebrate her tonight, too. Some really nice things happening.
Yeah,
as we wrap up your year to really give thanks to these 2 wonderful volunteers who are on our board for many years. And then, our employee of every year, which is Suzanne Nelson. So.
Well, she has done an amazing job over there.
She really has.
She really has.
And she has pivoted and adjusted with the needs of seniors because she runs all these social workers. And we have some young guns coming up, and they're
who
really,
are very
really
opinionated.
But they're great social workers. I mean, they really do care. And they'll go out into a home with 2 of them and bring an intern with them and find out what the needs of that senior are and try to solve that crisis. And we're not charging the senior a dime. We're just trying to help them through their life crises. And we tell our folks, just serve the senior and we'll figure it out later. I don't care what it costs. Go serve them, and we'll figure it out later. And we got to give some people some peace and happiness in their life. And Suzanne runs that department. That's totally responsible for that. Totally different from our meals. Our meals are good, that's for sure. But there's also all those social workers out there, led by our champion. So
that's terrific. Well, I'm very fortunate to have my son and daughter taking care of me. And
not everybody's that lucky.
No. You're absolutely right.
So, yeah, this is one of the hidden treasures of having the Senior Center.
Right, and we also want to support those caregivers.
Yeah.
You're fortunate in your life. There's other people who get thrown into the caregiver role unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to support them. We want to be able to give them the resources they need to care for a loved one when they're like, I didn't sign up for this. What do I need to do? Well, come see us and talk to a counselor. We'll tell you how to do it.
Right.
And we'll tell you the resources in this community that are great, but we want to help you along the way.
That's
so you are not alone if you are a caregiver. So we ask them to reach out to us.
Another amazing resource. So, Barb, what's the phone number?
661-259-9444. Got it?
You got it.
Got it?
You got
it.
So, besides day-to-day activities and tonight's special ceremony, anything else going on that we need to know before we see you again next month?
We're going to bring all the state resources together in September, so we're really looking for that, for all the state and county resources to help seniors out. The concerts are going on. Our food is there every day. And tonight we celebrate 971,000 meals given out through our senior center in the last year. 971,000.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
We
That
celebrate
is
and we give thanks. So
unbelievable.
what do we do going forward? We give thanks. We are so fortunate.
Yes.
Much is given to us as a senior center, and much is expected that we want to give back.
Awesome. Kevin MacDonald, CEO, Senior Center. Thank you. Thank you again for all you do for the community and our senior population. You're listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1, AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And our guest now is one of our sponsors, Myles McNamara from Comfort Keepers In-Home Care.
Woo-ah!
Woo-ha-ha! You
Hey,
didn't
guys.
do enough.
Good to see you.
It's good to have you back, Myles. What's new and exciting at Comfort Keepers?
Well, we're just bobbing and weaving like everyone else. I know folks have listened to this show before, probably get tired of my opening spiel, but I always like to start with, if we do have one set of new ears out there, just to, maybe go over what home care is, because a lot of folks don't know that old sayings, we don't know what we don't know.
Until you need to.
Until you need
That's
to.
right.
And I think
Sometimes that makes it very, very hard.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned on prior shows that a lot of times I'll meet people and it's constantly, I wish I knew about you guys when mom was alive, or dad, or whoever. But basically, it's our goal to keep our seniors safely in their own home, ergo the name in-home care. Because a lot of times all our seniors need is a helping hand to help them with the basic activities of daily living. We're not nurses. We interface all the time with, the medical community, like hospice or home health or, anything, chiropractic, or whatever's needed. And we can get them to and from their doctor's appointments. Transportation is one of our services that we provide. But anything that doesn't take a medical license to keep mom safe and dad safe, and eating nutritious meals and keeping their personal hygiene up to speed, and, staying hydrated as the old dog days of summer come toward us, taking their medications on time is a huge one. That's the leading cause of.
That's very
just
true.
up there next to slip and falls of why our seniors get admitted to
Rehospitalization,
the hospital, because they mismanage their meds, they forget to take the meds, they maybe interface with meds that have expired, et cetera, et cetera. Again, not being nurses, we can't dictate what they take, but once a doctor or a family member sets those meds up in a med tray, gives us the schedule, we can make sure that those medications are taken on time in the quantity that they're supposed to be taken. But yes, the mismanagement of meds is very, very huge. And companionship, coming out of this bloody pandemic, our seniors were so isolated and so depressed and so lonely as they created whatever bubble was created for, whatever level of safety felt good to them. Our caregivers, because once we were, vetted in the sense of being, negative COVID test, vaccinated, masks, whatever, we would then come into the lives of our seniors again, and that companionship was
Makes
just
a big difference.
It was huge.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, isolation or depression for the last 2-3 years has been huge on our senior community, and so that's what home care is. I mean, and a lot of times, folks say, "Well, we don't need you yet," and I always try to educate folks in the proactive nature of what we do versus the reactive. I mean, if mom falls and breaks a hip, sure, you can call us. We'll be there. We'll help nurse her back to health. Oops, I used that term, nurse.
That's okay.
Metaphor, euphemism. But if you bring us in, a few times a week to make sure that they're eating well, to make sure they're taking their meds on time, assist them with whatever caused that fall, so that we don't get that reactionary call.
Sure.
We're going in to, proactively make sure that hopefully they don't go to the hospital. So think about proactive as well as reactive. Obviously, if something happens, a stroke, a fall, whatever, and they're recovering at home, we can be there. But think about the proactive nature. A lot of times folks run into trouble because they miss their follow-up doctor's appointments. They don't have the transportation, or they don't remember, they didn't schedule it properly. And our adult children try their best A lot of times there's, multiple states away. So we can make sure that, they get to doctor's appointments, that they don't miss that follow-up care that gets them readmitted back into the hospital, and the process starts again. So home care is huge in that spectrum of senior care and aging in place. And, and it's all, I always listen to Kevin talking as I'm driving in. He's always the guest before me, which is cool because everything he talks about, at the senior center,
you follow on.
Yeah, as far as
Exactly.
socialization and exercise and interaction, and that's part. We've taken clients to the senior center. They want, but they didn't have a way to get there. So sometimes we'll take our clients to the senior center for the lunch period to whatever's going on there that they may want to participate in. So it's just we kind of liken ourselves to that adult child. Because if you think about it, if you have aging parents, what do? You run over there and you do everything I just talked about in a short amount of time, and there was no quality time spent.
Right.
So we allow now the adult children to go over and visit with mom or dad and spend that quality time rather than the 2 hours they had in their day filled with chores and shopping. And because that's another thing we do, we go grocery shopping, etc. So that allows our adult children to spend quality time when they go over there. So
and
that,
there's
in a
also
nutshell.
the aspect of the respite care for the in-home, in-living caregivers.
Right, and that's exactly right. Respite care is that break in so our family caregivers who sometimes run into health problems themselves because they're not exercising or eating nutritiously or doing things to keep themselves healthy, their health starts to deteriorate a lot of times before the person they're caring for. So yeah, our respite care can come over, step in. We have a 4-hour per visit minimum. So that's plenty of time, and we're available 24/7. But we do have that minimum visit that our caregivers have. Go out, get your hair done. Go out to the gym. Might be a little bit longer to get a round of golf in if that's what your respite is. But yeah, so we can schedule time for that family caregiver to get out and shake the cobwebs off. And take care of themselves and really nurture their health. So, yeah, respite care is huge, and it gives that family caregiver, a lot of folks don't even realize they're a caregiver. They're providing somewhat level of care. No, you are a family caregiver.
Yeah.
You are categorized now as a family caregiver because what you're doing is that. So, respite care is huge in what we offer.
Yeah, in other countries, that's actually recognized as a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have to take care of mom or dad, the government steps in and says, okay, we recognize this. I don't know how it works here because in my family, my sister is my mom's caregiver, and I don't think she's getting any assistance at all.
Yeah.
She's on the other side of the country, or I'd be calling you.
That's
a bit of a commute for your.
She get the respite time to take care of herself, or is that pretty much 24/7?
Not what I see.
Really?
Not what I see. I visited there just a little over a month ago, and it's taking its toll.
Well, there's home care companies across the land. I mean, if she needs that break, if you go to comfortkeepers.com and type in the zip code of where you live, then the nearest office comes up. And if there's not a Comfort Keepers in the area, there are other companies, but her health is important. So maybe if she has the ability to bring in somebody to give her that break, it's important. But there are home care companies across the land, so she should look into it if it becomes an issue.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm so fortunate.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
I'm
really
so
is.
fortunate to have a son and daughter who are able to take care of me. They take turns.
I was just chatting with Dee Dee out on the
Yeah.
couch. But yeah, and that's just it. A lot of folks have that family support, but then that spills over into, do they have the respite? I know Dee Dee and Scott do some tag teaming and stuff, but I mean, there's some folks, sounds like Tom's sister, who they don't have a break. They're
Well,
sort of just
I
there.
do have long-term care insurance, so I'm covered there.
Yeah.
So which I've had it for a long time, and it really came in handy when Russ needed the extra care.
Well, that's one thing we're all, that old saying sounds kind of morbid, but it's none of us are going to get out of this alive. At some point
That's
we
right.
are going to need care ourselves.
That's right.
So, the baby boomers out there and then the adult kids, long-term care insurance, because unfortunately home care, our own Medicare and Medi-Cal, and haven't seen the wisdom of the proactive nature I was just talking about, or even helping out on the reactive part when they don't pay for home care.
Right.
And it's so long-term care insurance is huge because it does. So there's that sweet spot in your 40s and 50s and healthy 60s that you should talk to a long-term care agency unless you've got a plan. Some folks, it may not be an issue for them. But
true.
I always kind of cringe when folks just my kids will take care of me. Well, again, they will to the best of their ability,
That's
but then
true,
don't
but
forget
it's
you're
got
part of
their
that
own
sandwich
lives, yeah.
generation where they've got their own children, and now
right.
they're helping you, and they've got jobs and lives and stuff, and we all want to be there 24/7 for our loved ones, but then that old thing, life gets in the way.
That's right.
But
That's
long-term
right.
care is huge for home care. Covers a myriad of different, assisted livings and skilled nursing and home care. And, home care is relatively new. We've been around a couple decades, but, that had to be changed in the long-term care policy because some of the policies of 25, 30 years ago didn't include home care because it was an unknown commodity.
Right.
But now it's huge and kind of the tip of the spear for our seniors to age in place in their own home. It's very important.
It's interesting. I think I've told you before. I got the long-term care insurance, and I said to Russ, "Let's get long-term." He said, "No, we've got enough. We can take care of it." I got it anyway, and boy, did it save money. I mean, it paid over 2/3 of the home care bill, which was not cheap by
Right.
any sense of the whole.
What's the thing I've
Very
mentioned too as well is that we all have home insurance, but what's the percentage chance of our house will burn down?
Right.
We all have automobile insurance. A lot of this is required by law and mortgage holders, of course, but we have auto insurance, and what's the percentage we'll get in an automobile accident? There is 100% chance that we're going to get old and we're going to need assistance.
Right.
Exactly.
So when you get that long-term care insurance, your odds are a lot better than when you're paying the premiums for home or auto insurance.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. It certainly paid off with Russ.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
And it'll pay off with me. I'm still paying for it every year, and I pay on a yearly basis. And I mean, it's not cheap, but I know that it will be there for me when I need it.
Well, and to your point of not being cheap, everybody should, if they have a financial planner or that, they should do a cost analysis. You said, some folks will say, well, I got enough to take care of it. Okay, well,
That may be
let's
true.
analyze that. If you can pay this to save, that for folks can't see me, I'm making big arms gestures, but and save, maybe build toward generational wealth where you're not using all your nest egg to care for an aging loved one. But if you do a cost analysis, okay, this is what my monthly payment's going to be for my long-term care. If I need full-time care because I want to stay in my home, this is going to be the cost. I think you'd be quite surprised when you do that cost analysis
yes.
of what you can save.
Absolutely.
And
Like
again,
I
it's
said,
like home insurance that's required by your mortgage lender, obviously, but it's still a good example. Is that if I'm paying, $2,000 a year in home insurance in premiums, but it's going to cost over $1 million to rebuild my home,
Right.
you want
Well,
to roll that die?
it
So
was the same thing with earthquake insurance.
Yeah.
I bought earthquake insurance against Russ's wishes. He didn't want it. No, we can pay for it. And good heavens, it saved us thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had some severe damage.
Did you?
Because we got the Sylmar, that earthquake in Sylmar, was it 94?
That was the Northridge.
Northridge.
Northridge was 94. Stillmore was 70s, wasn't it?
74.
Before my time here.
But anyway, we were right in that line in New Holland Canyon country.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of damage. And thank goodness we had that earthquake insurance because it saved thousands of dollars. It really did.
And that's why I would encourage everybody to kind of step back, talk to somebody, an advisor, and do that analysis, that of everything, not just your long-term care. I mean, hopefully folks have an advanced healthcare directive, an estate plan. You don't want your assets to go into probate, when you move on. So, there's a lot of things that you just need to take a moment. That old sayings, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan.
That's
So
right.
you really need to kind of look at that big umbrella, do those cost analysis, have talks with your loved ones too of what that journey looks like to them. Where do you see yourself in 20 years? Some folks say, I want to be in assisted living, or I want to stay home. Have that conversation. Don't leave your kids arguing out in the hallway of what mom would have wanted or what dad would have wanted. You got your kids fighting with each other, and it's like, no. Do your roadmap, put it all down, get an estate plan, get a trust, do all that stuff so that there are no decisions to be made on the fly when, God forbid, something happens.
Absolutely, and I want to stay in my home.
Right.
I don't want to go to a respite
You
place.
and 99.9% of all other seniors.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where they want to stay.
Want to stay in my home.
I want to live on a cruise ship.
Funny, some seniors are doing that.
Well, that's true.
It's cheaper.
They're living on a
It's
cruise
cheaper
ship
than to
year
stay here.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, think about that. They live on
I've
a
heard
cruise
that
ship.
many, many times.
Yeah.
They are. They're living on cruise ships.
And there's always, Doc.
24/7
from the love boat.
You get 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Your rooms are clean.
Yep.
It's
Who limits themselves to 3 meals a day on a cruise ship?
Yeah.
I never have. That 24/7 buffet,
There you go.
you're eating constantly. But yeah, that large plan of just looking down the road, and sometimes they're uncomfortable conversations.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants to talk about passing on or
No.
losing each other, but there are actions that have to take place once that does happen. So I mean, I
And
can't tell you how many times.
you are someone to ask. From our conversations, I can see you're a fan of the long-term care insurance. How does that affect Comfort Keepers?
Well, it's just that we take long-term care as payment, and like I was saying, earlier, that insurance doesn't pay for home care, so it's
Right.
private pay.
Right.
So long-term care insurance, and I wish folks would call their representatives too, because I don't know about this last huge infrastructure bill that passed, but I thought part of it was expanding home care into the Medicare, Medi-Cal, Medicaid arena.
Don't count on that.
And but supposedly there was a slice there. I don't know if it got chopped out, on the end run or whatever. But call your representatives, because insurance should pay for it, because the Advantage plans were given the green light about 5 years ago. The Kaisers, the United Healthcares, the scans that they could offer, and Medicare Advantage would pay for home care. And Kaiser did it the most of anybody I've seen, because I think their bean counters finally sat in the back room and said, well, my goodness, if we offer this coverage here,
Right.
and we prevent all these hospitalizations down the road here,
Right.
It's a business. I mean,
Yep.
health
Well,
insurance is a business. And so I call your representatives and say, why is not home care covered by Medicare?
Okay.
Well, it's
on-
interesting because I keep getting calls to get these things done. Do we need to take a break?
Yeah, on that
I better
note,
stop
we're gonna
yapping, huh?
Take a
Okay.
break.
I better stop
You're listening
talking.
to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're finishing our afternoon with Myles McNamara, one of our sponsors. And we have some specifics to talk about, don't we?
Well, we can. We're talking about home care. And what does that look like once, we cross the threshold into the home? Is we have, a term that we've actually patented, copyrighted, if you will, trademarked, one of those, called interactive caregiving. And what we try to do is, I'm sure folks have heard that old phrase, use it or lose it. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do is if possible, and before we start services, my care managers will go in and do a full assessment, decide what our clients want and, what they need with our input, put together a schedule and care plan, what have you. And then we try to involve our clients in their own care. Keep them mentally and physically, involved and stimulated, meaning that rather than putting mom on the couch and having her watch The Price is Right, and
Or worse, news.
yeah, or worse, and we're buzzing around, maybe we say, why don't you come help me, show me your favorite recipe for those brownies you used to make, or
Nice.
why don't you, what's your preference of the way you fold the towels, and or maybe if they're able, take them to the store with us when we're going shopping. And so we involve them, we interact, we keep them involved in their own care to keep them moving. And a prime example is I was actually talking with Dee about this out front before the show. Is I use my dad as an example. He'll be 87 in December, and physically, his knees, his back, he's having some issues. But I mean, he's still so active. He just hooked up his 30-foot trailer, drove it by himself, pulled it up to, like an 8-hour trip to Northern California. He's already in Northern California, but about an 8-hour drive from a place near Napa all the way up to Susanville by himself. He's pulling this 30-foot trailer. He's unloading it. It's amazing. And I told him when I was up there for Father's Day that you're older than 99.9% of my clients.
Absolutely.
But at 87, he's still bouncing around and doing his own stuff because he's never slowed down. He was a firefighter. He was tired. He was a camper. He was a hunter. So he always just kept active. And, so use it or lose it has a little bit of merit to it.
Oh, yes, it does.
So that's why we, with the interactive caregiving, even if it's playing, see, I'm dating myself here, but seniors will know Yahtzee. You're going to play Yahtzee or Juice and
that's my favorite game.
Yeah,
Yahtzee is not for old people.
Exactly. But, we mentioned companionship earlier, but that interaction, mentally keeping them, active. And so while that load of laundry is going and we got the soup turning on the stove, let's throw those dice and let's play some Yahtzee, or let's do something. If it's a crossword puzzle,
have you gotten 3 in one game?
I have not.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
But yeah. So again, it's very important. Just that sort of that care plan that we put together, which is very flexible. It could change on a daily, hourly basis. We could pop in one day and they say, today we're going to do X, Y, Z. We're going to go to the store. We're going to do whatever. Fine. But we know the highlights from our assessment of what we need to pay attention to every day. Is it medications? Is it, whatever, doctor's appointments? But so it's very flexible. So we try to involve our clients in their own care, if that makes sense.
I love it. That's outstanding. I wish that was part of every part of our society, and it's a little weird that you have to copyright that concept in not just adult care, comfort keepers, in-home care, but in every aspect of healthcare. That should be the priority.
Yeah. Yeah, we just trademarked the term. I'm sure other people are doing it, but it was just, so we use that on all of our literature and stuff. But it's a lot of times it's that, aha moment. It's like, oh, well, duh. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Very
so
true.
don't just, give mom the remote and churn around her. Let's do it together. Let's,
Absolutely.
Show me that, ancient, famous recipe. Let's do it together. Let's have some fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you do in the field of in-home care with Comfort Keepers. Thank you for being a sponsor of the Senior Hour for so many years.
Oh my goodness,
we
how
really
many
appreciate
years?
that.
Good heavens.
As long as I've been around.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, outstanding. Thank you, Myles McNamara. What's your contact information?
We're right here on Lyons Avenue for the last 22 years.
22
year anniversary this month, but we're 661-287-4200, 661-287-4200, or go to comfortkeepers.com.
We are wrapping up the Senior Hour. Our sponsors are Comfort Keepers, IMAC Med Spa, and Providence Holy Cross. This has been the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1, AM 1220, hometownstation.com. Now go out and enhance your quality of life.